All right, so I found a couple of examples that use piecewise function. One of them was a word problem, and I know some students commented that when they were looking at piecewise functions, that they were getting a bit confused on which piece of the function to use. Do you use the first piece? Do you use the second piece? And that rests upon being able to understand which interval of x that we're considering. And so I'm going to go through this problem, and hopefully that maybe looking at it through a word problem will help make sense. And so we have a telephone company that is doing a cell phone plan that charges you $14.53. Now you only have to pay that as long as you use only 485 minutes or less. Okay? Now, as long as you do that, you only pay the $14.53 per the month. Now, suppose that you spend more than the 400, you talk for more than 485, let's say 486 or 500, then they're going to charge you for those extra minutes 21 cents per additional minute that you talk on the phone. And so this company, in order to figure out your bill each month, only really needs to consider two separate things. Either you talk for the 485 or less, or you talk for more minutes than that. And so the way that they're going to calculate your bill is using this piecewise function. All right, so notice here's the 1453. That's all you will pay for that month, but under the conditions that you either talk for 0 minutes, which you probably want to talk more than 0 minutes, but you only pay 1453 as long as you talk for 485 minutes or less. Then you only pay the 1453. All right, so it can be less than that, and again, they're always going to just charge you the $14.53, and you're good. Now, there is a second piece to the function, which that's what they'll use, that 0.21x minus 8732, if you talk for more than 485 minutes. All right, that's how they'll calculate your bill, because you talked for additional minutes than the 485 allotted minutes. All right, and so let's do some examples where we're calculating different individuals' bill. Suppose we have 3 different customers. And let's say that customer number 1 only speaks for 372 minutes for that plan. Now they could have talked for 485, but that's all they talked for that month. And so for them, it's pretty straightforward. Since 372, and here's how we'll write it. We'll write, what is the bill for someone who talks 372 minutes? And since 372 minutes falls into this interval, it's less than 485, there's really no calculating we need to do. The plan is that they'll always only pay $14.53. So this person's good to go. It's simply you pay the $14.53 that we agreed that you would pay. And case closed for this customer 1. Now suppose that we have a second customer, and for that month we see that they paid 502. And so we're looking for what is the bill for this individual when X is 502. So looking now at our piecewise function, 502 certainly is greater than 485, which means we use the second piece of the function to calculate their bill. So we're going to use 0.21x minus 87.32, but for x we're going to plug in the 502, and this is going to help us determine what this individual should pay for this particular month. Now putting that into a calculator, we come out with 18.1. And again, consider this in the context, this is dollars. So they're going to pay a little bit more than the 1453, but again, only because they talked more than 485 minutes. And so they had a little bit of additional extra charge. Now, suppose someone talks for 486 minutes. Well, again, that's only 1 minute greater than what the plan was saying you'd only pay the 14.53. So we're going to have to figure out how much to charge them for that one extra additional minute. But because it is greater than the 485, we do need to use the second piece of the function. I know it's for only 1 minute, but that's what the plan is. You talk greater than that, then we've got to charge you for any additional minute, even if it is 1 extra minute. So we'll use the second piece of the function again, but this time 486 is our x. We still need to subtract the 87.32. That's part of the second piece of the function. And using this in a calculator, we find that they will pay $14.74. And that's what they're going to pay. So I hope seeing it in a story mode kind of helps see how to use these piecewise functions. You're given two different pieces, but you have to look at the intervals to determine which piece of the function to use. Now, we certainly can still use piecewise functions apart from a story or apart from a word problem. Nothing really changes. We're still going to be able to calculate different values of the function depending on different values of x. And suppose we're looking for when x is -8, what will be the y value if we say it that way? Well, we have to look at these intervals, and we see that since x equal to -8 is negative, it is less than 0. So we would use this piece of the function, which is we're going to take x and square it. So we are interested in what is the value when -8 gets squared and we get a 64. That's the value of the function when x is -8. Now we can also do this. Suppose we're looking for what is the value when x is 0. And we do have up here in our intervals such a case that when or if x is going to be 0, then automatically the y value is going to be 6. There's really no operation or calculating we need to do. It automatically is a value of 6. All right. Now suppose we want to find when f is the value, or when x is a value of 5. And so now we return to our intervals, and we do see that there is such a case that when we have a value of x that's greater than 0, and in this case 5 is greater than 0, that we lean on the third piece of the function, which is 8x plus 2, to calculate what will be the value. And sometimes they say the word evaluate. Find out what this would be equal to. And so we're plugging in our 5 times 8 plus 2, which gives us 40 plus 2, which is 42. And that's the value of the function when x is a 5. And so again, for piecewise functions, to determine which piece of the function to use, if you got 3 different pieces, you do need to consider the different intervals that are being offered to you. All right, but I hope you found this to be helpful. Take care.